get it. The OGs always told me what I start, I gotta finish. So I push it to the limit, so I can be the greatest. So I can look my family in their eyes and say we made it. Don't let life hand you nothing, you just gotta go take it. Always keep it 100, don't ever let me catch you faking. Keep a close eye on your circle.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Post Prison Podcast. I'm your guy, businessman and entrepreneur, your host, Darryl Riley. Joining me today is my sister from another mother, Miss Cynthia Brady. Also, as always, we got our brother, Durell Green here, backing us up, bringing the truth from the rear. Welcome and happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers. Let's give a shout out to all your mothers if they're here, or if they're not here. Mothers are the first women of the earth, people of the earth. Once your mother's gone, it'll never be the same. I'd also like to do a little something differently before we get started and give a little shout out to a couple people who just recently passed or no longer with us. And that is to the little brother Pepe, who is no longer with us. Also, a couple months ago, we had the passing of our brother Yellow Jacket. And most recently, we all been blown away by the news of a brother we all know and had grown to have a lot of respect for, and that was Lil Clinton Powell. So we just want to say to your families, to the mothers, to the brothers, to the sisters, anybody that had a connection with them, we want to send our condolences to you. Much love and respect. If we can do anything, make sure you let us know. So with that being said, today's episode, what we've been telling y'all about, is featuring our guest, Miss Mary Nicci Beardon. And the title of today's show has a lot to do with a sensitive subject. And we don't want to sensationalize the subject, but we do want to allow this sister a chance to express what it is that she's had to go through in terms of losing a child. Let me start off this morning by giving Cynthia a chance to just say a couple things that might be on your heart. Take a few minutes to talk about Mother's Day, what you feeling today, so we can set the ambiance of today, because there's some heavy spirits and some hearts in the room, and we want to make sure we acknowledge all of that and get that out of the way. Take us away, Cynthia.
Yeah, this morning, or last couple of days or whatever, I've been going through a lot of emotional ups and downs, going through the grief and loss process. I've been angry, frustrated. I've been going through it, a little depressed. And a lot of this stuff is surrounding around Clint's death. I also grieved for the rest of them that passed away, but this is a whole different level of grief for me, because I've been knowing Clint since he was a baby. He taught my oldest daughter how to walk, and he was 2 months older than her. And so I've been around him off and on since he was a little tot, like newborn. And so for me, this is like losing one of my own. And I looked at all of his little pictures and stuff, and our little outings together and stuff. And it kind of gave me a sense of relief a little bit and peace in my heart. But it's just something is unsettling with me on this whole situation. And this topic is a blessing, and it's also, hard. It's going to be hard for people to hear certain things, especially concerning the loss of a loved one and a child, especially, and around Mother's Day. And so my first question to you, Mary, is...
Hold on one second, Cynthia. Hold on one second. Let me introduce Mary, okay, and give her a chance to say who she is. You said something very profound, though, a second ago. You said that it's ironic this episode would be very helpful today. We decided to push it back a week, and it turned out to be the right decision. So to everybody's watching, the title of today's podcast is A Black Mother's Resilience, Life After a Child ends of their own. And our guest today is Sister Mary Nicci Beardon, who we've been knowing for, at least me, I've been knowing for years. And, you know, Nicci's a business owner in the community. She knows a lot of people. And we just felt blessed and honored to be able to have the platform for her to share her story. So we want to, without no further ado, introduce Nicci and give her a couple seconds to introduce herself and tell the people about who you are before we start questioning.
My name is Mary Beardon. A lot of people know me as Nicci growing up. I am a mother. I am an entrepreneur. I have a medical billing business. I specialize in billing and credentialing for mental health providers. I've been doing that since 2008. And first and foremost, I'm a lover of God. So that's me in a nutshell.
Durell, how you doing today, man? You want to say happy Mother's Day to your mom or anything like that? You know, get yourself warmed up with the conversation.
Oh, you know, I love my mom. We actually gonna be going out and doing something tonight. That's why I had to fly back and leave work early. You know, my mom cost me a lot of money today, but it's all worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I'm just glad to be here with y'all. You know, Clint was my big cousin too. You know what I'm saying? I met him and his dad in prison at the same time. I just was walking past the barbershop and big Clint in there cutting hair. I'm like 18 years old, don't know nothing, just getting into prison. He said, "Kip, son." And I had to turn. I was like, "Who was that?" And he said, "Don't be scared. I'm your cousin." I said, "Oh, what's up? There's my son." I said, "Oh, what's up?" Like, had a family reunion in prison. That's actually not funny, but you know, that's how I met him. And you know, that was my guy, man. Love him.
Okay. Well, again, to everybody's watching, today's topic, makes it a little bit more sensitive close to Mother's Day, but it's a Black mother's resilience, which is also powerful. The subtitle is Life After a Child Ends Their Own. And Nicci's going to bless us with some thought processes and how she worked her way through the death of her child. But before we get started on that, we want to ask everybody to continue to like, share, subscribe, comment. And we're going to open it up for Nicci to start the conversation in this manner. And then Cynthia will follow up with her question after her response. So Nicci, why do you feel it's important that you share this story? And what do you hope to accomplish in doing so?
I think it's important that us as a Black community know that we have resources out there for mental health, you know, because I think mental health played a big part in my circumstances. My son took his life August of 2020. It was right during the COVID-19 pandemic when everybody was closed in and things were shut down. There was no school being attended. There was no sports, and social isolation played a big part in my son's accident. I deem it as an accident because he's a child. He was a child. And I feel like he made an impulsive decision to take his life based on the moment that he was in at that time. So I just feel like the Black community needs to be more in tune with their mental health and themselves, and, you know, just knowing the signs and, you know, getting the help that they really need is a big part of controlling this plague that I feel is going on. Suicide in children increased rapidly after COVID-19. There was lots of, like I said, social isolation going on with children. They were in the house. Parents were trying to figure out how to take care of their children. And the world was just in turmoil at that time. I feel like the impact of my son committing suicide really opened my eyes. And I just really wanted to come on here and let people know that there are things that you can look for. There are resources out there, and we should really open up to getting counseling and help that we need, you know.
Okay. Cynthia?
Harry, I know that usually like in the beginning when we lose someone, especially someone we love, we struggle. There's a struggle there first, like a tug of war, like part of the grief and loss process that I had posted yesterday on Facebook. And how did this transpire with you? Did it start out with you struggling with trying to understand what happened? And also, where did it take you to after your struggle?
My healing process consisted of me, like you said, struggling at the beginning. It was a huge struggle to, not have my son there with me. I was in the hospital in Tacoma, and, the day that he arrived at the hospital, the doctors were telling me that my son was brain dead. And so it took a while for me to even understand what that meant, because I found my baby unresponsive and called the ambulance, and they were able to get his heart beating. And so I thought there's a chance for my son to still survive. Took him to the hospital. Not even 24 hours into that, they were like, he's brain dead. He's gone. There's nothing we can do. And I'm looking at my son laying in his bed, and he looked like he was just asleep. And so me not being educated about the medical side of things made me kind of go crazy. Like, what do you mean? Like, you want to end this? You want to stop it? He ain't even been here for a day, because you watch the movies and stuff, and you see people laying in a hospital for months, and then they wake up all of a sudden. But there's a difference between being in a coma and being brain dead. And I really struggled with that because I wasn't educated. And so I went off, and they had to prolong the process because I told them, you cannot force me to make an informative decision without any information. Yeah. So they, I got Sharonda Amamillo came to my rescue. That shout out to her. She is my angel. She came to the hospital, and she helped them to help me become educated. They brought in an outside neurologist who was an Indian woman, an East Indian woman. She was pregnant at the time, and she just resonated with me because she looked more like me. The other doctors who were trying to just say, he's not responsive, we're ending this, it's over, they didn't look like me. They were white males, and I felt like they were very unsensitive to me as a mother. They said things like, we've been through this thousands of times. I'm looking at them like, well, I haven't lost 1,000 children, so I'm about to do whatever I had to do to make me feel okay with the decisions that I was forced to make. So they did the test and everything, and 5 days after being checked into the hospital, we signed off. I sat there with my son. They took the ventilator off, and I sat there with him until his heart stopped beating. And that's when it all became real to me. I prayed. I gave all that pain, the regret, all that coulda, shoulda, woulda, because when a person takes their life, it's like you don't know why, because you weren't there in that moment and you don't know what they were thinking. And so I struggled with, what could I have done different? I should have did this. I should have did that. But I gave that all to God, and God helped me through the process. And part of my healing process was being in tune with my own emotions. Because when you lose somebody, you go through moments when you're mad, you be angry, you want to just hurt somebody because hurt people hurt people. You're happy because you think about the good moments, and then you're sad because you are left with the realization that that person's not coming back. And just knowing and being able to process those different emotions helped me through my healing process.
Thank you, Nicci.
Brother Durell, would you like to jump in and throw a question at this sister's way?
Because you've been in, that mental health field for a while, just in your personal work. Like, was Black suicide something that was on your radar like before this, or like did this kind of like open you up to like, oh, this is like a thing that we don't talk about in our community that much? Like, it's kind of one of them things that we sweep under the rug and don't acknowledge and actually address.
Yeah. I was not in tune or educated about suicide. Just like I said, I didn't know the difference between being in a coma and being brain dead. And I spent what feels like my entire life worrying about how to protect my children from the elements of the world, but never did I think that I would have to protect my children from themselves. So being in the mental health field, I've now become more educated about, child mental health, the suicidal ideation and things like that. I would hear these terms, but I never was educated about it. And I feel like if we as a community educate ourselves and our children, then people can get the help that they need and access to mental health. Because we as a Black community, I feel like people are like, oh, you don't go to counselors, you don't tell people your business. And that is a stigma that we need to get totally away from, because there's nothing wrong with having a problem and getting professional help. Everybody needs an outlet. You might not be able to go to your friends or your family or anything like that and talk to them and tell them how you really feel, but to have an outsider's professional outlook on things and be able to tap into that and gain the skills that you need, that's very important.
I'd also add that what would make it, first of all, let me back up and give a shout out to Judge Amamilo, who's actually been on our podcast.
Yeah.
And just a little thing she do as a Black woman, she's always Black. And I think her, and like you said, one of the things that's interesting, you spoke about having somebody who kind of look familiar to you to help you through the process. And I think in order for us to remove some of those stigmas, we have to also have access to some of those professionals who look like us too, to make it feel more real to us. I also want to say, for the record, much respect to your son's father. We don't want to go down that path, but if he just find his way to see this podcast, we want to offer him our condolences, our love and respect for you for the loss of one of our Black princes, and hope that you finding ways to do better and heal yourself. I don't know what that process is like for you. I couldn't imagine it, but I do want to see you out a shout out. Much love and respect to you, brother. Nicci, you said something that just changed my mind in totality about this whole idea. You said my son's death was an accident. And I was kind of turned my head. What do you mean an accident? He did that on purpose. Just being honest with you. And then you said, without even hearing me say that, you said, no, he made an impulsive decision as a child. How did you arrive there? Because that's a different space. Did you hear that from someone? How did you arrive at that space? Because that's so simple, profound, but you'll miss it with all the emotions. You know?
Yeah, it just makes sense, like he was 12 years old and he's a growing young boy. And we all know that the brain doesn't fully develop on a male until what, age 20 something, 25?
They tell me 45.
I'm in agreement with that. But, he is a child. Children don't know, you could give a child a video game and this child will take this video game and know that they got to go to school in the morning, but that child is not going to subconsciously say, I need to get off this game so I can be well rested for school tomorrow. They don't have that mental capability to control their emotions. And also I was a single mother raising a young man, and I can't raise a man and not having his father around. I think I can't really speak to how his father is dealing with the loss of our son. We speak, but it's far and in between. But at the time, he was not around. And I think that played a big part in his growth and development and him being able to control his emotions. Men help men become men. And so I'm not a man, so I can't raise one.
Well,
but all of that had to do with that impulsive decision that he made at that moment. His emotions were strong enough for him to react like that.
Well, I thank you for educating me on that. Really, it might seem simple to some people, but I just grew so immensely from that. And you've also given me another topic for a podcast that we're gonna have you on about. I can't raise a man. We should probably do that one live. But Cynthia, do you have a follow-up question? I don't want to hog all the questions. Or do you want me to go ahead while you?
No, you can ask another question. I was just thinking about what she was saying, and I agree with her that it takes, like they said, a village, and it also takes a man to show a man how to be a man. They'll listen to us and we can kind of groom them, but we don't really know what it's like, what you guys really go through unless you tell us, And in the Black community, Black men don't talk too much about how they feel. They reserve their emotions, and when they're supposed to be sad or crying, they don't use tears because they've been told stuff like you're a sissy or you're a little punk if you're crying. And so they hide those emotions behind anger and trying to put up this big front that this is what a man is that they stick their chest out, they suck it up and they take it. So that's what I was thinking about when she was talking, was that emotionally, a lot of Black males is crippled in that area of speaking on their emotions.
Yeah, I'd like to chime in on that because in our community, well, just in general, broken women will tell you that they're broken. We are emotional creatures. Men try to cover it up because society has told them that they are the man and that they cannot be vulnerable. But, that's a part of accessing your mental health. You've got to be able to come to grips with your own truth and be able to tell the truth, because if you don't tell somebody the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, they can't really help you genuinely.
So I want to chime in. Go ahead, Durell. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add to that, I can speak on a lot of brothers from around my generation and age range. We've talked about suicide, but it was like a thing where it's like, you won't actually do it, but your subconscious mind, when you're trying to get that drunk or get that high because you don't want to be here. It's almost acting out of that same energy. It's just that we'll kill ourselves slow. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that that's a real thing. And that's how a lot of people, have dealt with a lot of those feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, depression. Like a lot of us got a bunch of undiagnosed stuff going on. And we don't want to be in reality or be here. And so you just see this self-destructive behavior, like no matter, even if some people are just super violent and they're like, we've had conversations. They're like, man, well, make police just kill us or something. Like we talk about it and act like we're trying to kill ourselves a lot of the time, but it's not just the blatant act like that because you still got some kind of foolish pride where you're like, I'm not going out like that. I don't want people to think that I'm weak, so I killed myself, but I'm going to try to kill myself and destroy my life. And I think it comes from that same energy.
Well, I don't want to veer too far off of this, but I want to comment on what Nicci and Cynthia said about Black men and expressing those emotions. A lot of these situations we find, like in your situation, you and your kid's son, father weren't there. And we have a lot of these broken relationships. I'm the product of one where the communication is null and void between the parents, and it becomes fractured so bad till we grow up like that, and we start to dating these women from these generations. And when you find yourself vulnerable enough to where you express some of these vulnerabilities, most of the time, you get gaslit as a man, particularly a man of color, or it gets used against you. So that's one of the reasons we don't share those things all the time, because we've been burned a number of times in our own culture. We do each other so bad and don't care about the feelings behind it and the residue it leaves, which compounds this problem. But I don't want to open up a can of worms. I just want to throw that on behalf of the men. It's not that we don't want to open up or we're not vulnerable enough to open up. It's a difference between trusting you with my information and trusting you not to turn it around and make it seem like it's an attack on you. You know what I'm saying? Not to turn it around and make it seem like I'm saying you're doing A, B, and C. I'm saying I'm feeling like this. You know what I'm saying?
And that's where accessing mental health, a professional, comes into play, because a mental health professional is not going to judge you. They can only tell on you if you are hurting yourself or somebody else. And I think that, we as a Black community need to open up that door for everyone to seek mental health so that they can process those emotions and not feel like they're being judged, because that's what I think I heard you say when you said you don't want it used against you. A mental health professional is not going to use it against you. And if they do, it's going to be used to help you become a better person and have those
Well,
tools.
I mean, I was speaking in general in terms of relationships, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I got some fractures in my mental makeup because of how I grew up. I was just not to change the subject, but I was just a few years older than your son was when I started freebasing cocaine. So that had to have some type of effect on the way I grew up and my emotional responses today and how I relate to situations. All I'm saying is when we get in relationships as Black men, your son's father included, a lot of times we don't feel comfortable sharing that. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, we just got to get to that space to seek some professional help to get ourselves right.
I heard a young man, I seen a young man post yesterday, and he was on our podcast, Boomer, Alvin. And he posted, I need a mentor. And that was so deep for me and so profound for me. And I commend him for saying that, because a lot of times we go so far in our journey or our life, and then we're like, what's next? And we don't know. And sometimes we're afraid to ask somebody else. And I posted something on mentorship for him so he could, that gives him a key to how to pick a mentor and then to go forth and ask for one. And the whole situation and circumstances, we don't have a lot of Black mentors in this area, period.
You just gave me another idea.
we don't have a lot of Black male mentors in this area. And we have all these fatherless babies that was not raised by women, that we basically pampered our sons and made our daughters tough as nails. And it's just one of them things that we have to change the narrative here. We have to change the narrative.
That's good stuff right there. So Nicci, I obviously you become extremely educated about this. You know, I don't even know if I could still be as comfortable and as balanced as you are discussing this. But you talked about knowing the signs and things of that nature. How does that change how you operate with your children today? What differences are in place?
I've opened up the floor for, safe spaces, them being able to talk and tell me things, even if they think that if they think I'll get mad. I tell my kids, you can tell me anything, everything, because if you don't tell me any and everything, I can't truly help you to the capacity that you need. And that goes in all subjects: school, health, money. I need to know what your mind process is. And so I'm more in touch with their emotions and their personal well-being at this point, because, my son taught me how to love stronger and how to love wider and deeper. And I just look at myself as a survivor and not a victim.
Damn, I wasn't expecting that one. You knocked that one out the park. You said my son taught me how to love wider and deeper.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So we're towards the end, but I want to shift the conversation a little bit and give everybody a chance to participate, including the audience members. If you know anything about who we are, leave a message on our Facebook page, email us, leave it on the YouTube page, or whatever that is. Considering today is Mother's Day, we're gonna go around the room, starting with Durell and then Cynthia and then Nicci. And we're gonna move the room a little bit, considering it's Mother's Day. And whether your mother is here or not, tell me one thing that you're most grateful for. And we're gonna ask everybody that watches to, let us know what you're grateful for about your mom. Just one thing. Of course, we have a number of things that we're possibly grateful for, but just one thing that we want to share today on this Mother's Day that you're grateful for your mother. Darryl, kick us off, bro.
Patience. I know a lot of people that have lost, their parents. And I'm just glad that my mom was patient enough with me and lived long enough to where we were actually able to talk about all the differences in our childhood. Like we forged our relationship when I was in the penitentiary. She always said, when you go to prison, I ain't gonna come visit you. And she was the only one coming to visit me. And, we forged our relationship. And now, like, when me and my mom talk, we don't sound like a typical mother-son type thing. We have a whole different type of relationship where, like, I just respect her as a woman. I respect everything she put into me. And she actually respects me as a man. And, we just got a great relationship now, and I just thank her for her patience. So that'd be my number one, the patience.
Sister Cynthia, talk about Sarah for a minute.
I'm grateful for education. My mom taught me how to read. She taught me how to write. She taught me how to spell. She taught me how to learn how to comprehend what I'm reading. And this was when we was young. other kids was outside playing in the projects and running around, and she had us sitting on a blanket reading either Bible stories or reading something that where we could educate ourselves to where like my grandparents even used to say, giving us something that somebody can't take from you. And she had flashcards. We learned how to do math. We learned how to do a lot of different things like right there. And I used to be kind of frustrated because I was like, kids is outside playing. Why is we having to do this? But today I am overly grateful for the time that she spent teaching me how to read, teaching me how to write, making me go to church even when I didn't want to go to church, all of that. I'm grateful for Sarah Elizabeth Orange. I am so grateful.
Nick, maybe she still got a little more to teach you, but I know you done learned a lot from that one.
I have learned a lot from my mom, and I'm just grateful for the experiences that we've been through together. You know, just like me, my mom lost her son, her firstborn son. You know, I was 13 at the time, he was 15. And I actually, you know, not to get off subject, but I actually had to apologize to my mom after I lost my son, because when my brother got killed back in 1994, I felt as if, you know, because he was like my provider, my protector. He looked out for me. Mom, get off of Nicci. Mom, that's my little sister. And everybody knows that it was Maceo and Nicci. And so I felt as though, because that was my brother, and we were like not even 2 years apart, I felt as though nobody was hurting more than me, because that was my best friend. He was like a mentor, a father, protector. I felt as though nobody could hurt as much as I did. And after I lost my son, I had to double back and apologize to my mom, because there's no pain like losing your own child. And I really stepped back and I apologized to her because she showed her grief in a different way. And that's one thing that I've learned through this whole process is everybody grieves in their own different way. And you got to let them do that, because it doesn't get any easier. You just get stronger. And so I would like to thank my mom for the experiences that she's brought me through, from the root up, from birth till now. Those experiences have made me who I am today. And I love her for that.
Well, you know, you guys got me around here stirring, and I thought I had one thing in my brain that I could probably pick up, but when I think about my mom, it's like we had two different lives. You know what I'm saying? My life when she moved out here, my life is totally different and I'm a totally different man than who she knew in Chicago, right? And she was a totally different woman than who I knew in Chicago. So it was tough. But when I think about what some of the most important things today that helped me is, you know, we grew up poor, but you know, y'all know she could sing, but she taught us about culture. You know, we used to go to plays. In her acting plays, she used to have the milk crates full of albums, Frankie Beverly, Mays, all these. We learned to read music at fourth and fifth grade. I went to college on a music scholarship. So she taught us a lot about culture and Blackness, even when we was mad we had to go. But she also taught me how to take care of myself, you know, how to do the necessary things like hygiene and ironing and sewing and, you know, keeping your joint clean and things like that. So, you know, I'm grateful for my mother. I know we all
said one thing. You said one thing. We can go on and on.
yeah. It just you guys, you guys just opened up. I didn't think it was gonna go this far. You guys opened up a plethora of ideologies in my brain. But we just want to shout out to our mothers, shout out to all the mothers, shout out to you two mothers. You know, and we, you know, anybody that's find themselves watching this, leave us a comment about what you're most grateful for about your mom. Do that for us. So we want to end this. We want to let Nicci lead us out of here. Just tell us any thoughts that you might have on your heart. And Durell and Cynthia, you can follow that up, and we'll close it out after that.
I would just like to thank you guys for listening to my story. And it is Mother's Day, and it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. So if you know anyone or anybody who's struggling with mental health, tell them to access a provider, contact your local crisis clinic, but get the help that you need to make sure that you're okay.
Dee, what you got? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sam.
I am not a mental health therapist, but I'm a substance use disorder professional. And I know a lot of times mental health and substance use disorder go hand in hand. If you have any issues or any problems or family members that's struggling, feel free to reach out to me too. I work for West Sound Treatment Center in Port Orchard.
I think that was the perfect way for us to go out. We'd be remiss if we didn't put it out there, like with the actual resources. And, not every counselor is, don't look like you or something. You know what I'm saying? Like there's culturally relevant counselors out there that you can get in touch with and they can help you. So like, if you know somebody, like they said, reach out, because life's too precious.
Let me just say, Nicci, I appreciate you. I would like to think that it made it a little easier having some familiarity with us to express this sensitive topic. And we appreciate your trust in us trying to respect you and not re-traumatize the situation and make it messy. But we want to offer everybody healing. I do want to tell you that Up From Slavery Initiative, our nonprofit, will be reaching out to you. So we could try to see if we could turn this into something where we can become the resources. I've been writing down things as we've been talking, and especially what you said about Boomer, Cynthia. We can create some lanes for that. But people have to put down those false images of what they think this is, and come to the table and say, I'm hurting. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be where I am in life today without my mentors. And they do not play with me. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to thank you all. Thank everybody that's watching. Durell, appreciate you. Cynthia, I love you. Happy Mother's Day. Nick, all your $20 and lunch. To your kid's father, much respect to you, man. I don't think I know you, but I just want to offer my condolences again before we end this. And to everybody else who's been watching, we ask you to continue to like, share, subscribe. You could email us on postprisonpodcast@gmail.com. We'll also be on YouTube Sunday nights at 7:30. So until next time, everybody, have a happy Mother's Day. Peace.
Every morning I wake up, all I know is get it. The OGs always told me what I start, I gotta finish. So I push it to the limit, so I can be the greatest. So I can look my family in their eyes and say we made it. Don't let life hand you nothing, you just gotta go take it. Always keep it 100, don't ever let me catch you faking. Keep a close eye on your circle.